How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. I want to talk about manipulation. I want to talk about what's happening in crypto right now. I want to talk about a Depeg as well. There's a stablecoin that's worth billions of dollars that just depegged, and it's not like a fraction of a cent, it's over a cent. It's a decent sized Depeg, and a lot of people are talking about it right now. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification so you can see future videos just like this one. Also, I made a video this morning talking about some cryptos that I am paying attention to. One being Satoshi VM, that's actually launching end of week, that I think will be huge. I cover a couple other cryptocurrencies in that video from this morning. So if you haven't seen that video, I would highly suggest it. Definitely check that video out on the end screen. Also, after you hit subscribe, check out the link underneath the video to Marx, where you can trade cryptocurrency. You can use leverage. They're also adding some other functionality too, to be able to sweep all the cryptos that you want, whatever cryptos you want, into USD or USDT. It's going to be a cool function on the platform. Also, there's no KYC, so you don't have to put in a lot of personal information. I know some people are cautious about that in crypto. So you just put in your email, a password, check the terms and conditions, and then you can start trading within minutes. This is a platform I'm going to be doing more work with because I really like it. So definitely check this out underneath the video. There's also a link down there to HGAaccess. That's a Patreon that I'm working on, or that I'm posting in. I actually talked about some of the early investments that I'm making right now, some of the really smaller, riskier, really high potential investments that I'm buying now. In that, I made a video today. And the last one that I did a 30x. It literally hit 30x today. So if you want to check that out, there's a link underneath the video to HGAaccess. Now, crypto is looking pretty good today. Honestly, Bitcoin's up a little bit. The traditional market is kind of sideways, kind of been a boring last week for traditional markets. And crypto has been on this little hangover, I think, since the ETF approval. We do have some interesting news, though, here today. And Bitcoin is moving up a little bit, up into that $43,000 range. I'll give you some interesting charts, too, that you should be paying attention to for Bitcoin. But overall, the market is doing pretty well. Except this cryptocurrency, True USD. This is TUSD. A lot of people probably haven't used it. I don't think many people in the US have money in TUSD. But I think more people internationally use it. I think they were on Binance and publicized a bit on there. It's at 99 cents on the dollar. Now, it fell down to like 98.4 cents. And this is over some different fears. Keep in mind, though, this is a pretty big market cap. Like, it was $3.8 billion a couple months ago. This is when the market was still kind of slow, though, too, in October. So it was like a decent size of the market. Now it's just been having constant outflows. Like, it's been cut in half over the last couple months. And this is while money's flooding into the market. This is while USDT has been growing quite quickly and gaining market cap. So why is this happening? Well, apparently there are reports of difficulties in confirming the reserves of the asset. It is tied to Justin Sun. A lot of people don't really trust him. And there's a growing concern within the community, leading to a substantial amount of sales. We can see here in the last 24 hours, just on Binance, 444 million in TUSD sell orders versus 301 million in buy orders. I mean, think about that. That is a huge amount of selling for TUSD. I mean, that is a fourth of the market cap. That's huge. So that is concerning, though, that even with this 301 million, there's been 142 million changing hands, or 142 million difference, but that's a tenth of the market cap in 24 hours. Like, people do not trust this if they're not buying it at a slight depeg. Like, if USDT or USDC depegs, there's fear, but generally people think that's going to go back up. So a lot of people will arb that and try to buy it, waiting for it to be repegged. But this has not repegged. I mean, that's kind of concerning in the last 24 hours that they could not get it repegged. Now, I think they'll probably get it repegged. Chances are they do. But if I had this, which I don't hold to USD, but after being through the bear market, after seeing so many altcoins or so many stablecoins depeg, I honestly would just sell this. If it was me and I had this, I would just sell it, take the 1% loss and put it into USDT or USDC. It's probably fine, but it's not worth losing money over at this point. So I would be one of those people that leads us to Depeg more. But I just want to give my thoughts on that. Typically, people ask too when they come in the market, like, what's the best stablecoin? I just go with USDC and USDT. I think they're both pretty good right now. They're money printers, and they're not probably doing anything funky. I always prefer to keep more in cash, like in a bank account, honestly, than in stables, just because I think it is safer. There's less risk. It's FDIC insured. But there are limitations to that. Like if you have a large amount of crypto or a large amount of stablecoin sitting on the sideline, let's say you have $10 million. Well, that's really hard to get into the market via fiat. Like maybe you can deposit 50 grand a day or 100 grand a day or something. That might not be enough for you. So I totally get it. People are in different situations or they don't have easy on and off ramps, but I would keep it to the larger cryptocurrencies. Now let's move over to Bitcoin. There is some manipulation going on. There's some selling going on. Arkham shows 9,000 Bitcoin or 385 million was moved from Grayscale wallets in the past hour. I believe this is going over to Coinbase, probably to sell to their OTC desk. So a lot of people are posting about this. Some people are worried. It hasn't really affected the price of Bitcoin very much. But honestly, I don't really care about this. We know that there's going to be overhang. We know that there's going to be a lot of selling from GBTC. You can see it here. Like the weekly fund flows report from a few days ago showed a large amount of inflows, over $1 billion in inflows for the last week. But we had outflows from Grayscale of almost 600 million. So a lot of people are just selling Grayscale and going into whatever they want to go into IBIT or into Fidelity's Bitcoin ETF. They're just moving from Grayscale to something else. But overall, there's still a lot of inflows, which is the important thing. Like just because we see this doesn't necessarily mean it's going to drop the price. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're net sellers, that we have net sellers. We have a lot of institutions buying from Coinbase, their OTC desk. And in case you didn't know how an OTC desk works, it basically works as an intermediary between sellers and buyers that have large amounts. Let's say you're a buyer, right? You're MicroStrategy and you want to buy 20,000 Bitcoin. If you go on the open market, it's going to send up the price pretty quickly. Like people are going to see that you're buying a lot. People are, there's just not going to be a lot to buy either. Like $20,000 or 20,000 Bitcoin is a lot. It will send up the price pretty quickly. So you won't get your fill price. It won't come to you at the same price that you want it at. So you go to an OTC desk. They have someone that's lined up that wants to sell, and they don't want to dump the price either, because if they do the opposite, if they just start selling on the open market, a lot of people will see that they're selling a lot, and then people will get scared and sell themselves, and then the price will continue to fall down. Same thing with buyers. So they basically, the OTC desk will just connect buyers and sellers, so they're basically makers of the market. So that way there's not huge fluctuations in price. I mean, a lot of people hate that OTC desks allow people to buy Bitcoin and do that without pushing up the market. But you have to realize there'd be a ton of volatility if we had institutions and whales and people like that are selling 50,000 Bitcoin, 20,000 Bitcoin, 10,000 Bitcoin. Like the fluctuations would be huge. If you think right now there's a lot of fluctuation, like that would be nuts and people would freak out all the time, I think. So I think it makes sense to have that, honestly. And overall, if there are enough net buyers, the OTC desks will run dry, or the amount that people actually do buy outside of OTC desks will push up the price faster. So that is bound to happen. I just want to explain that in case people are kind of confused. Now, I want to cover a couple other things though too. This shows, if you're worried about Bitcoin because it's sputtering around, look at the past. Look at how much we go up compared to previous cycles. So in 2013, we had a big move compared to 2011. In 2017, we had a huge move compared to 2013, 2014. In 2021, we had a huge move compared to 2017, 2018. Now, we're probably going to have a huge move compared to where we were in 2021 and 2022. This is just what's happened historically. We can also see hash rate is going parabolic. So many people look at hash rate, whether it is a leading indicator or lagging indicator. Like price usually goes up with hash rate and vice versa. We have a huge amount of hash rate. A lot of institutions jumping into Bitcoin and trying to mine on the network. The cool thing is I think part of the reason that sometimes price follows hash rate is not because, oh, the network's so much more secure. It's because people want allocation towards Bitcoin. And some institutions will look at buying Bitcoin versus buying miners. And this is just a fraction of the people that actually get into mining. But they might look and say, okay, mining isn't actually that profitable because the hash rate's so high. I'm just going to buy Bitcoin. And then that causes the price to go up. And then that causes the profitability of mining to go up. So then the next person comes in and say, well, I could buy Bitcoin, but maybe I'll just buy miners. And that increases the hash rate. And then the next person comes in and says, hash rate's too high. I want to deploy money. So instead of buying miners, I'm going to buy Bitcoin, and back and forth, right? So like there's this kind of ebb and flow, I think, between capital. I've looked at that myself. Like, hey, do I want to buy a miner or do I want to just buy spot Bitcoin? I looked at the two options, and depending at different times, I bought different things. So I think that's partially why they move in tandem a lot of the time. And there is manipulation going on right now. Like I showed, Grayscale was buying or was selling while other people are buying. There is a lot of manipulation going on by Vanguard and other institutions, whales. There's a lot going on. I wanted to show you this video because this is really how the market works at some point. There's this whale that puts the price of their Bitcoin for a little bit less than like a normal buyer, like a newbie investor, right? They're selling Bitcoin for maybe 40,000 instead of 44,000. So then the panic seller, the newbie investor, freaks out, says, I just need to get rid of this. I'm going to sell it for cheaper. Then the whale looks at that, says, okay, I'll pay you for it. They buy the Bitcoin right off of them for that 40,000 or whatever they're willing to sell it for. Then they hold all the Bitcoin. You might have to rewind this to take a look at the video, but this is how it happens. And then the whale has all the Bitcoin and then just pushes up the price. Like, hey, yeah, I'll sell it to you, but you're going to have to pay double. I realize that is a little bit extreme, but that is really how the market works a lot of the time. Whales manipulate. Whales make people lose money on leverage, or they sell a chunk and freak people out. They publish fake news. They hack people. They do all kinds of things. Manipulate the market, jump on the other side of the market, then jump back in, bullish on Bitcoin. So in the end, whales try to accumulate, and then they try to dump on people at the top. They try to panic people at the bottom so they can buy, and back and forth. They try to make people super bullish at the top. So that's just going to continue happening. So that's why we want to be smarter than the average investor. That's why we don't want to panic. We want to look at the market and say, hey, typically in bull markets, there are still pullbacks. We've seen a 15% pullback. Maybe we should dollar cost average or just hang on to our bags. The reason that they do this is that there's just a lot of money at stake. Like, think about it as an institution. If you are BlackRock, Fidelity, or someone like that, if you can manipulate to get people into your ETF, for example, well, you can make hundreds of millions of dollars of fees, if not more. If you could manipulate someone as a whale to get people freaked out, well, you can grow your bag pretty quickly. You could probably, depending on how you manipulate, you could grow your Bitcoin stack by 5 or 10% in a day. So there are going to be people that continue to do this, and people, new investors might say, how could they do this? How could they manipulate the market? Isn't that illegal? Not really. I mean, anyone can sell. People can freak out other people by selling. A lot of the people won't ever get caught for manipulation, and it's not like this doesn't happen in other markets either. This happens all across the world. In every single market, there's manipulation. It's just different in every single market. So you have to be on your toes, and you have to be smarter than the new investor. Maybe not as smart as the whales. You don't have to be that smart, but you have to be smarter than the new investor that freaks out and sells at the wrong time or buys at the wrong time. You have to remember too, the halving's coming up about under 100 days. And we already are seeing a massive amount of advertising from BlackRock, Fidelity, Van Eck. All these companies are pushing out Bitcoin to the masses. So we're going to continue to see more and more people buying Bitcoin. We're going to see more and more eyeballs. Of course, there are going to be scary moments. There are going to be times where, people just decide to sell Bitcoin en masse, or there's going to be fluctuations. But if you can't handle a 15% change in the price of Bitcoin, you probably shouldn't be in this market. Let me know your thoughts on all this underneath the video, though. Definitely check out Margex if you're interested in trading cryptocurrency, and check out HGAccess in case you want to know what I'm buying and selling, whether it's Bitcoin or altcoins. I talk about some of that on the channel. I talk more about it in HGAaccess and talk more about it yet in my own Patreon. But in HGAaccess, there's a lot of information too that we don't publish to other Patreons. A lot of exclusive content. So definitely check that out. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one.